Yeah, I think it's all about timing in boxing. Listen, Artur Beterbiev is a phenomenal fighter. I think his little inactivity, not being as busy as late and having that little bit of time out has allowed him go back home, enjoy a bit of family life, train. And most have done him the world of good. Most have healed up a lot of niggles and stuff like that. Callum's going into it. You wonder whether the inactivity with Callum Smith can be key. I think, when was the last time we fought? Over 12 months ago anyway. He's had, 2 fights in the last couple of years? So there's an activity thing where BTBF has been active and in big fights, and he dug in to come with Anthony Yarde, which was a huge fight, a tough, hard fight. He dug in and he got the win. BTBF, listen, you can't rule him out. He's a champion. I think he's stopped everyone that he's fought. We came close with Callum Johnson. We had him down, and I think, as Callum would say, he was like thinking, did that really happen? Walking around the ring, following him instead of jumping on him. I think the thing you've got to go with Callum Smith. Callum Smith is dangerous early on, very dangerous early on. Fires the left hook well. And I think BTBF, he likes to throw the overhand right. That's his best shot. And I think there could be a situation where, like George Groves did, he threw the overhand right and Callum Smith may catch it and return with it. And if he does and he lands it, then I think we might see BTBF on Queer Street. And Callum Smith is a good finisher. Once he has you hurt, he'll finish you. But the same can be said for BTBF as well. But age, youth, experience, he's having to go to Canada. That's a BTBF training. He's got it all to do, Callum Smith, but he has got the power to do it and land the shots. I do feel it will be a street fight. I don't think it'll be boxing. I think lessons were learned. I feel he has to go in there and get involved in a shootout with BTBF and let the shots go early and don't be too hesitant to let his shots go. I think if he does that, I think he could come out the winner.
Yeah, power's going to be a big spot for Callum, and a lot of people are kind of saying that he has that punch power. You being on the pads with him, having trained with him, can you tell me where his punch power stands and amongst the divisions that he's been in, especially now at the new weight? Does he carry that power that can really hurt Beterbiev?
Yeah, of course he can. I think there's not so much about the power as well. Everyone goes his left hook, but his right hand, he can hit well with the right hand. He chops a good right hand down. But I think it's just the speed and the timing of the way that he counters, as you've seen in the fights against Rocky Fielding and other fights. It's just that catch left hook, even under pressure. And we've seen Callum Johnson drop BTBF with the left hook. But he understands in this fight, he's got to be really, really tight. Because BTBF, if he lands, he'll much put Callum to sleep as well, as much in the same way as the other way. So this is what makes it an exciting fight. His power, Callum, yeah, he's got good power left and right, but it's his speed and his timing with it that adds to the power with it as well. But he's got the tools to get it done, and I'm sure he will get comfort in knowing, like he's saying, Callum Johnson had him hurt with his left hook, and he must feels if Callum can do it, I can do it. So he'll have that in the back of his head as well. But he's also got to understand BTBF can be in a crisis situation, does get up and can come back and pull off the win. So he's got to be careful as well that when he has him hurt, not that he doesn't empty the tank too soon and find himself then like in trouble.
Break it down a little bit more for me. You just mentioned there that a street fight might be how the fight plays out. You know better than I do, but would a street fight not favour Beterbiev than it would Callum?
No, I think so. When Callum Johnson fought him, Callum Johnson said to him and was up close, said, just be careful on the way in. And Callum says, I don't feel he's as strong as what I thought he was. I feel like I can bully him a little bit. And sometimes in fights you have to bully the bully. But I think when we went to fight Canelo, I was saying at the time, we needed to be a bit like a Gerald McClellan when we fought Julian Jackson. We had to be on the front foot push. Obviously, the time frame and we had for that fight, we never managed to get that off. But in this fight, that's what he's got to be a little bit. He's got the height, he's got the reach, he can punch. It's not that he's a tall, long-arm fighter where he can't fight on the inside. He can fight on the inside, hits to the body well. And I think he's just got that speed of quickness in his hands that will upset BTBF. And it's whether BTBF would be expecting that. I think the left hook, but I do feel if Callum Smith wins, it'll be the right hand that does it. There must be a slip right hand or a slip right uppercut. Can
you take parts of the Canelo fight in the sense of maybe not the way the fight went, but occasion, the big night, handling that the first time round into this one with Beterbiev. So that's not an issue, handling those big fights as big nights.
No, Callum's never really had them big nights, even whether it was Groves or the Rocky Fielding or for the European. Callum's always had a cool head, as I used to say. He had ice in his veins. He was always a cool customer, Callum. He don't let it faze him. And like you say, the thing with the Canelo and the crowd and all, that's nothing. He'll be over there. My only concern is just the inactivity. But at the same time, by not being active, it gives him a freshness and an appetite to go in there and show everyone it's an opportunity that become a two-weight world champion.
Does either fighter, whoever it is, whoever gets the victory, beat Bivol?
Bivol's very, very good. Very, very good. I don't think no one can beat Bivol at the moment. I think he's good. He can be hurt. Joe Smith hurt him once in a contest, but I just think it's his feet movement at the moment. I think that's what you have to struggle. You're seeing that against Lyndon Arthur. I think Lyndon landed a decent body shot at one point, but it's just getting Bivol to stand still. His feet and his rhythm is very good. It'd be interesting because if it's BTBF, you've got BTBF who can hit. As he comes in, he's got to throw shots at the same time. It's who's as quick as him to match him for punching power, for punching speed and countering, or being able to do a first and a third phase of attack. And Callum Smith, he'd have to box and be on his toes and sharp and look to counter. Whether he's quick enough to do it, we all remain to see. But it's all ifs and buts at the maybes at the moment.
Joe, moving on, I want to pick your thoughts on a big fight that got announced recently, that being Francis Ngannou getting another big opportunity, this time against Anthony Joshua, off the back of the way the fight went against Tyson Fury. Although he didn't get the win against Tyson, Francis lands himself the opportunity against Anthony Joshua off the back of the fight with Otto Wallin. Just starting with that performance against Otto Wallin, who many billed as a tricky fight for Joshua. It wasn't tricky in the ring when it all unfolded. How do you feel Anthony Joshua has set up a new base with Ben Davison heading into this Ngannou camp, who has proved tricky for the WBC champion Fury?
Yeah, listen, I think it surprised us all with Ben Davison, but I still don't think, or I've not heard or seen or read that it has left Derek James yet. I think they said it was just for that fight. It'll be interesting to see now moving forward whether he goes back to Derek, or it's Derek and Ben, or just Ben. So that'll be interesting to see what happens now over the next few weeks. I think also Ben Davison, like you say, got Anthony Joshua back boxing again. Also at the same time, Wilding, the familiar opponents. AJ's fought him as an amateur, I believe, and then as sparring partners. So don't necessarily felt that there was a fear factor there for AJ. So AJ walked in there with a confidence. I think with Ngannou, which is an interesting situation from when the fight with Fury and Ngannou was first announced and what it was, and the board shouldn't license this and shouldn't license that. Now he has the opportunity now to fight Anthony Joshua. Ngannou can't believe his luck, really. Some will say Tyson Fury didn't train for the Ngannou fight. He thought it was going to be what it was, whether it be a WWE type of thing or whatever. That's it, and nearly came and stuck with it. Everyone has seen how Ngannou performed that night. Had the knockdown, some people thought he won. But now he goes in against Anthony Joshua, and I think Ngannou most probably thinks, well, all I have to do is just land once, like against Tyson Fury, against Anthony Joshua, and I'm sure we could pull this off. Anthony Joshua, obviously, and his team, they'll be wanting to go in there and do a better job than what Tyson Fury did. It's a shame, really, because it'd be interesting to watch the fight, but I really thought Chang and Anthony Joshua was the fight that was got to be made. I thought after him fighting Wilding, being a southpaw, was preparing him for the Chang fight. I thought Chang AJ would have been a great fight, a huge fight, and would have been a worthy winner of Fury and Usyk. But to see where they're going to go now with the winner of Joshua and Ngannou will be interesting to see. But I think Ngannou will be usually pumped. They'll sit down, they'll study things well, and they'll go into that fight. They'll mostly look at Joshua's few fights, and mostly have a mentality of them. We only have to hit him once, because if we hit him once, he's done. I think Tyson Fury gets hit, but he gets up. I think when Anthony Joshua gets hit, he stays hit. Does that make sense? And I'm not disrespecting. It's just when you look at it from Ngannou's point of view, is if Ngannou lands, can AJ ride the storm and come up? And that'll be interesting. If he gets hit, he's got to get into position to land at the same time. It's interesting, but I've seen people saying it's a cash grab. It is what it is, and 1 minute one people are slagging it, yet the same people now are involved in it. But it's interesting, and it is an interesting fight, and more so for Francis Ngannou than Anthony Joshua. Francis Ngannou, in his second professional fight, could be a 2-time world heavyweight champion.